She's dazzling, she's exciting, and she's what Las Vegas is all about.
Showgirls. Leave your inhibitions at the door.
Welcome back to a very late movie nights, everyone. If you've been following me on Patreon or any of my other social media things, you'll know that Showgirls was the viewer's choice winner for last month. This one by a landslide. Once again, viewer's choice is not being very evenly distributed. I didn't know this, but apparently Showgirls is like the Ark of the Covenant of the movie world. It was very difficult to get a hold of this, and I wasn't expecting it because I am used to reviewing movies that are not very well known, that I'm not expecting to find in stores or anything. I always have to order them online unless by chance I just happen to have found it in a used movie store or something like that. But Showgirls was not one that I thought would be like that. It's a very well-known movie, but I don't know what happened. Maybe MGM lost the rights to it or something, so it's out of print. Something happened. I went to 4 stores and I didn't find it. And I normally don't go to the store, but I thought Showgirls surely would be there. And it wasn't. And let me tell you, asking a person at a store if they have a copy of Showgirls is not as easy as it sounds, even for someone as shameless as I am. I tried 3 different times to order this online. 3 different times. One of them got lost in the mail. I don't know where it is. I still don't know. Someone must have found this copy of Showgirls and been very confused. I don't know. It's just lost in the ether. 2 more times I tried. Finally, I did get a copy of it. Now keep in mind, I actually have seen Showgirls before this. I just did not have a copy of it. So here I am, knowing what I'm in for. And I still gotta wait for the DVD to come in. So let's talk about Showgirls a bit, shall we? Basically, the story follows Nomi Malone, played by Elizabeth Berkley, who goes to Las Vegas to be a dancer, ends up getting caught in a cutthroat, seedy world, and losing herself in the process. It's also known as one of the best bad movies of all time. And not a lot of people in this reviewer type world talk about this movie as much as some other well-known bad movies. And the reasoning is, nobody wants to black box all that shit. You're gonna be seeing boobs everywhere. Let me tell you, that's a lot of work. A lot of work that we don't want to put into this. But I'm gonna do it for you guys. Or cut around it, it's fine, whatever. I'll just do whatever works.
I got a topless show, for Christ's sakes. Let me see your tits. Very nice.
Now, when I first saw this, it was not actually that long ago. And when I started it, I wanted to give it a fair shake. I didn't want to go in saying, oh, this is just going to be bad from the beginning. Like, everyone says it's bad, so it must be terrible. I'm not a hard person to please, really. I like to find things in a movie that people don't quite see. Performances or story elements that maybe people didn't really give a fair chance to. And I like when things are a little bit offbeat and weird, if they can do it well. And I was with this movie for quite a while. I stuck with it until the first fight with Crystal Connors.
If it's at the cheetah, it's not dancing, I know that much.
You don't know shit! I need my paycheck! I do not want her to be pissed at me! I'm sorry!
Right around that point, when she got to the "I'm sorry," that's when they kind of lost me. I was even with it through different places.
Different places?
So basically, I made it to about 15 minutes into this 2-hour and 11-minute movie before I was like, no, people were right. It isn't very good. Which is 15 minutes more than most people give it. At the very heart of Showgirls, it's a cliched story. It really isn't that weird of a story. You know, girl goes to Vegas, gets robbed, with her one quirky best friend.
You ate him, didn't you? Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did! You did!
It's really kind of heavy-handed with its message. It's really not hard to understand what they were trying to do with this.
Sooner or later, you're gonna have to sell it.
Everybody's selling something! Woo! I think the thing that gets the most shit in this movie is Elizabeth Berkley. And I really think that that's not fair. You know, most people know Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell. And everyone makes the Saved by the Bell jokes when they're watching Showgirls. And part of it is weird. Because when you see a child actor, you get used to them as sort of this innocent role, and then when you see them playing against that, they get a lot of shit simply for not being a child anymore. And I really think that they should be allowed to grow up and do different types of roles, and if that's what she wanted to do, she shouldn't get shit for that. That being said, I think there are a lot of crazy things in this performance.
I said that's my car! Oh, my fucking suitcase! Get the fuck off the car!
But I don't think that Elizabeth Berkley is a terrible actress. I think there are some things in there that are actually quite good. And I think, really, a lot of the craziness in this has to do with the direction of the movie, because everyone looks crazy in Showgirls.
I used to love Doggy Chow. I used to love Doggy Chow too.
I feel like the direction through most of Showgirls was, you know, you're at a 10 here, I'm gonna need you at about a 20. This is a very sexy movie, but it's bad sexy. My thought throughout most of the movie is sexy question mark? This movie is the very definition of trying too hard. It just goes from 2 to 11 in 2 seconds flat. You got the infamous crazy pool scene where she's flopping around. It's very intense. And she says she can't have sex because she's on her period, and then he checks her period blood, which is really gross. All the characters in the movie keep talking about what a great dancer Nomi is, and she's really not. Some of it is good, but a lot of it involves going into convulsions or seizures of some sort. Like, I'm really worried for her. Again, not Elizabeth Berkley's fault. Whoever the choreographer was, I don't know, they had some horrible misdirection here that just went so far off the mark. It's easier if you imagine that Showgirls was created by an alien who only had the vaguest understanding of what human beings are actually like. Like, it's almost there, but just something is slightly off about it. Nobody quite acts like human beings do in Showgirls.
I like nice tits. I always have. How about you?
I like having nice tits.
How do you like having them?
They like having nice tits. The only person who seems to fit in here is Kyle MacLachlan and his hair. And he's basically an alien anyway.
You got low self-esteem, baby. You're a fantastic fuck. I was paying you a compliment.
The most likable person in the movie is the boob honker lady.
Harder! Yeah!
We get a touching reunion scene with Nomi, boob honker lady, and the asshole club owner.
Must be weird not having anybody come on you.
It's a very strange scene, but oddly the most touching one. Here's a fun game to play. It's called Determine What Someone's Character Motivations or Emotions Are at Any Given Time in Showgirls. Just kidding, it's an impossible question to answer, an unbeatable game. We never know why Nomi instantly hates Crystal. I know why she hates her later, but it's basically like instant hate chemistry going on with these two. There's no build up to it, it's just instantly, I am going to murder you hatred. Crystal is the headliner for this Vegas act, which I don't really get. Maybe there are things like this in Vegas. It is this topless, crazy meatloaf music video show that's newspaper famous. Crystal and Nomi have this whole love-hate relationship going on, where Crystal's plan is apparently just to seduce her and be evil for the sake of being evil.
You see, darling, you are a whore.
Bitch!
Like, clearly there is this sexual chemistry going on between the two of them. But also, they're trying to kill each other, and I really don't know at any given point in time what either of them wants in this relationship. So eventually, Nomi ends up pushing Crystal down and taking her place in the act. Nomi's Judas betrayal. And now she's caught up in the glitz and glamour of fame, but you gotta fight to stay on top.
You are the show.
And then suddenly, to give you fair warning here, things get a little bit dark. And her best friend Molly ends up getting the shit beaten out of her and then gang raped.
Man, everybody got AIDS and shit.
Uh-oh, look what I found!
This needed to happen. Keep in mind, the guy who orchestrates this whole thing is super famous, does this at a party with 1 million people there, and she comes running out beaten, and then nothing happens. And I get like, ooh, he's famous, we can do anything, but I mean, he's really not subtle about what he's just done. I really don't know how he has never been caught for something like this. He's not very good at hiding it. So Nomi's gotta dress up all sexy like, seduce him, and then beat the crap out of him. Which is pretty satisfying to watch, admittedly. He's so stupid. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I know I beat and raped your best friend, but like, I'm not suspicious of anything. Nomi and Crystal have this awkward fish lip kiss. And then Nomi decides to blow this town. That made way for an unnecessary sequel to be made 16 years later. Apparently that happened.
Was he serious?
So, Showgirls did not go over that well. It was instantly made fun of, killed Elizabeth Berkley's career, and won a bunch of Razzies, and everyone just thought it was terrible. But that doesn't mean that Showgirls was not a success. Because it was. It's got a huge cult following now. And it actually is the highest grossing NC-17 movie of all time, and the only one that got wide distribution, which is something to be said for that. And it's probably the reason NC-17 hasn't been widely distributed since. According to the director, it was made to be an over-the-top morality tale. That being said, if that's what it was intended to be, does it work as a morality tale? Not really. I mean, it teaches us that everybody got AIDS and shit.
Man, everybody got AIDS and shit.
I don't know if anyone really learned any moral lessons in this movie. And I don't know if the audience really learned anything from these lessons that were not learned. Because if you take a look at Nomi's arc in this movie, she starts out an asshole, and she ends an asshole. If you want to have this whole seduction of the innocent story going on, this whole losing yourself, you gotta have a sort of sequence of events here, a lead up to this, and she's not really a good person at any point. She says some kind of funny lines, and there are times where you feel sorry for her, but you see there's no progression here. She just ends exactly as she began.
What'd you win?
Me.
Did she ever really lose her? I mean, really, if you think about it, the arc is Nomi's luggage.
My fucking suitcase!
I want my fucking suitcase.
I want to know what happened with the monkey shit subplot. Did they stop feeding the monkeys so much garlic and stop stinking up the place? They just left us hanging on that one.
Shit on the stage, honey. Man, they always got the shits. It's that damn garlic.
I think I kind of understand what the idea was with Showgirls. I think it wasn't really intended to take place in the real world. And it doesn't come off like it takes place in the real world. It comes off like a strange world similar to our own, but not really. It's definitely got a brand of its own. Something that is very unique to Showgirls. There are lots of lines that you can quote from it that are instantly memorable. It's completely its own phenomenon. It's not meant to be taken seriously. You won't take it seriously. And I think it was successful in what it wanted to be. So this is a movie that is not to be watched with your parents, but something that I recommend watching anyway. So if you want a good bad movie night, check out Showgirls. I'll see you next time. Big fan fat idiot update. Okay, so one of these copies of Showgirls that I supposedly lost, here the whole time. It was stuck under a package where I didn't see it. So here I am, like a big old dummy, like, oh, it's lost in the mail, I don't know where this is. Meanwhile, it's in the other room, underneath another package, laughing at me.
It looks quite good on you.
Does it suck?